you've seen 500 shows.
He could really blow up.
Anytime they play here, I'm going to see them.
And also wasting your money. I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
The best male voice of his generation.
Now he's blowing up, and he was just incredible.
Are you predicting anything, Lolla, here? It is summertime in Chicago, and that means it is concert season, festival season, after show season, and it can be a little overwhelming with all the music in Chicago in the summer. We're going to tell you what to skip, what to see, where to go, how to navigate these fests, and I have two wonderful guides here on The Takeaway today to take us through Summertime Shy and everything it brings music-wise. Britt Julious of the Chicago Tribune and Selena Fragassi of the Chicago Sun-Times. Welcome to The Takeaway. I am so excited to have you here for this topic.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Thanks for having us.
All right, first thing I want to ask, what's the last concert that you saw, Britt?
I went to 2 shows last week. So the first show that I saw was Valerie June, who's like an Americana artist, just really unique, really different, really experimental. And then 2 days later, I saw the Four Queens tour with Chaka Khan. And
United Center.
Yes, it was great. So Valerie June went to by myself, but with the Four Queens, I was there with like my parents and one of my friends.
Fun. Selena, what about you? Last concert?
My last show was this past Saturday, May 30th at Schuba's with a band called Die Spitz. I think I said that right. They're like a German name, but they're from Austin.
Okay.
It's an all-women-led punk metal. They're amazing. I've never seen circle pits and crowd surfing at Schuba's, so
That
brought it.
sounds like something.
Yeah.
So, and if you think just like seeing 2 shows in a week is strange, these women I have with me, let's see. Britt, you estimated in your life you've seen 500 shows. Selena estimated 750 shows, personally and professionally. But that's an amazing number. So I feel like we have 2 women who are really going to tell us what to do this summer, and I'm very excited about that. So you've got 10 and 15-ish years of music experience for each of you, working at the newspapers, at the websites, taking Chicago through a summer and the concert season. I want to just get your impressions first. What is it like when summertime hits in Chicago and you know it's the time for festivals and all that stuff? Britt, I'm going to start with you. What's that feel? What happens to the city in that time?
It feels like the city comes alive. I always describe Chicago as really like the true epicenter of music for the summer, right? There's so many different festivals across different genres, whether you like hip hop, electronic music, house, techno, rock, there's something for everyone. And so you can feel included and have fun and find your people. And it just makes the city come alive even more.
And we're going to talk a lot about Lolla, so we'll get to that in just a minute. But it's not just Lolla. It's so much more beyond that. Selena, how do you view this time in Chicago with everything ready to burst with music?
Well, I hibernate in winter because I need to rest up because it's very busy. But I agree with Britt. I mean, the city just comes alive. You're hearing music everywhere, whether it's you're at a festival, you're just on the street, there's buskers, there's street festivals. There's just a constant soundtrack during the summer. And, we pack it all into the 3 beautiful months we have here. So
soak it out. Because you see so many shows and so many different acts in all kinds of venues and festivals and things like that, I want to really go deep. Pick your brain here. Selena, I'll start with you. For music lovers in Chicago, what is your hidden gem, either festival or venue, that they need to see? What's your gem?
I have so many. So I picked 2.
Okay.
I have to share.
That's fun.
Okay, so one is the Beyond the Gates series that Empty Bottle puts on.
Okay.
And it's at Bohemia National Cemetery on the north side. So I like to think of it like Ravinia for metalheads and experimentalists.
Okay.
So you bring your blanket.
At a cemetery.
It's at a cemetery. So you bring your picnic blanket. They sell concessions. You can bring whatever you want. And then you set up, and it's like Ravinia for the dark crowd. Yeah.
Wow. Didn't even know that was a thing, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Okay, what's your second gem?
So the other one is the secret shows on the river. So they've been happening the past few summers over on the Chicago River. There's a concrete pillar right underneath the Belmont Avenue Bridge. And they literally get the band there by like a little speedboat. It's on an island, basically.
Yeah.
And then the crowd all kind of gathers on the side, and it's a vibe.
2 deep cuts. Thank you, Selena. Britt, what is your gem, festival, or venue?
So every year there's this event that takes place at the Garfield Park Conservatory called Plantasia. They usually have a lot of really great like experimental kind of composers and electronic artists who'll play just like one day, but it's a really nice vibe, like in, just being kind of surrounded by plants. And I think the music actually works extremely well for the environment. So they'll have people like Tiande Braxton and like William Basinski and things like that. that. So yeah, if you're like looking for something a little bit different and you're looking to kind of be at the conservatory like after hours, I've always really enjoyed it and found it to be really peaceful.
And a great name.
Yes.
Plantatia's a wonderful name.
We should do more shows there. I saw Chance the Rapper there.
I was there too.
Okay, and it's such a cool setting to hear music. They should do more.
They should, yeah.
And that's inside the concert in the green area, or where do they do it? Do they do it just outside?
Like under the dome, right?
Under the dome,
Yeah.
the glass dome.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. And so because you see so many shows and have your expertise, I want to ask, that was a place question. I want to talk people question next. Britt, I'll start with you on this one. What are some local bands, let's say Chicago area, I'll allow Midwest, but let's go Chicago area if you can, that you think could blow up soon?
So I might be a little biased because I covered her for Chicago Magazine.
I know you're gonna say right now, and I agree with you. Yep.
So a young rapper named Star Bands. She's so good. She's 16 years old. We put her on the cover. She is a rapper, doesn't curse in any of her songs. She's from the south suburbs. She's just so charismatic, so sweet, so talented and fun. And she's playing Lolla this year.
Okay.
So I think it's a really huge feat in general for any artist, especially Chicago artists, especially a teenager. So yeah, I think she's fantastic. So
Selena, are you going to also sit?
She's on my list, but I was like, I thought Britt's going to talk about her because I know Britt's a big fan.
You read her mind.
I read Britt's piece on her actually. Okay. So yeah, I think there's a band called Pixel Grip who I have been loving. They're not like new necessarily, but I think they're on the up and up. They played Riot Fest last year, so their star wattage is growing. They just released a new album. They'll be at Metro in November, but they bring a kind of like, if you're into industrial or dark wave, electro, a little bit like Nine Inch Nails and Boy Harsher, but a great band.
From Chicago?
From Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, from
Local
Chicago.
group.
I just went to their listening party actually last week, so
They're
yeah.
fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
How do you approach Lolla? And I mean this more on a personal level than on a professional music criticism level, because you look at that big list that comes out. Here's the acts before they break it out by day, and there is a lot to look at there. What is your way to guide people through Lolla, however you see fit? Selena, I'll start with you, managing that 4-day festival where the city really comes alive.
Yeah, I think my biggest tip to people is you have to go early. I think if you're just going for the headliners, you're completely missing out on so many amazing emerging acts.
And also wasting your money. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You're going to pay all that money. You can't just go and see the headliners.
Yeah, the headliners to me are just like the cherry on top of a long day, and you've got new bands to check out. And there's so many. I saw Sam Fender there a few years ago, and now he's blowing up, and he was just incredible. But you're on the cusp. You can like bring that talk to the water cooler on Monday and be like, guess who I saw? But I would say also, like, seriously pace yourself. I mean, that is a long stretch from Monroe to Balbo, or beyond actually at this point.
Yeah.
So, pace yourself, definitely stay hydrated, and make a schedule. Lolla has a really great app, so you can literally put together a custom schedule, change it if you want to during the day, know the conflicts, and pick one, because there are going to be conflicts. There always are.
It's fun when, fun is a strange word, I guess, for this, but when you go with a big group and that time comes when I'm going, this perhaps happened to me, I'm going to Metallica, I'm going to Sam Smith, and two different directions you go. So those things have to get decided ahead of time, I guess, is the lesson. Britt, what are your tips? How do you guide out Lolla?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my tips are kind of the same. So one of the things I always tell people is to be extremely prepared for the heat. I think a lot of people kind of forget that. They forget to drink water. They'll have a lot of alcohol. They'll forget to just kind of go under the shade and take a break and things like that. I love finding shade, and I know all of the really great shady spots in Grant Park.
I think I know some of the spots. I have some of the spots in my head right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So just, take a break, take some downtime. You don't have to run around to everything and see everything. But yeah, like Selena said, like getting there early to see some of the kind of younger, more emerging acts is really great, because then a couple of years later, oftentimes those acts are, headlining or close to headlining. And, if you're arriving like late, you're not going to be up front, right by the gates to see your favorite artist. And so imagine if you had seen them 2-3 years earlier, when, you could just kind of hang out and not be squished body to body.
Yeah.
There was a story, the one time I was there, really wanted to see Foo Fighters as the headliner that night. And I was there all day anyway, but my friend said, hey, let's go see this band called the Arctic Monkeys that wasn't as big at the time as they are now. Yeah. And we stood in a torrential rainstorm. Yeah. But it was worth it.
Yeah.
It
I'll
was-
give you a hot tip on the shade too. So there's a really great stage at Lolla called the BMI stage. It's off in the pocket. It's like closer to the Lakeshore Drive side, and it's fully shaded. All the trees are over there. But the really great thing is the music is unparalleled. So that is where Lady Gaga first did her very first time at Lolla several years before she became a headliner. I believe Katy Perry played that stage too, Chance the Rapper, Dick Mensa. So all before they became big, that's an emerging music stage. So I like to park it over there.
Yes.
What are some of the acts you are most excited to see on this year's lineup? Britt, I'll start with you.
Yeah. Well, for kind of like house music, I'm really excited to see the Blessed Madonna. She is from the Chicago area. She used to be the booker at Smart Bar, and now she lives in Europe, and she's just kind of this really world-renowned DJ and producer. She produced the entirety of Dua Lipa's like remix album from a couple years ago, so that was really great. So very excited to see her. Doechii, obviously, she's had just an incredible year. Really blew up after she had her, like Grammy Best, rap album win, which doesn't happen very often for like women artists, So that was really exciting to see. So, and she's also just like a performer as well, which I think sometimes, she's not just standing around the stage. She dances, she sings, she has backup, dancers with her. So it's really going to be a really just incredible show. I think I love Tyler, the Creator, and just love sort of, having seen him, first play with Odd Future at, Pitchfork and things like that, to kind of like where his trajectory has gone. I think it's really incredible. So I think he's going to be a really fun headliner for Thursday, I believe, is when he's headlining.
He kicks it off.
Yeah. And then someone who I think you might not be as familiar with, but I think he's just got an incredible voice, actually like the best male voice of his generation, is this R&B artist named Duran Bernard. He just like Luther Vandross kind of vocals, just he has it. He's so good, so sharp, like making this incredible like soul and funk inspired R&B music. And I think he could really blow up. And so he's playing kind of early on his day, but I think that would be a really great set to see.
That's a big claim you just gave him right there.
He does.
But
But
I'm with it. If you stand by it, I love it.
He's one of the only artists I've seen who, he'll oftentimes kind of like post covers of other artists' songs, like Beyonce songs, and he can kind of hit all of the notes. And a song like Plastic Off the Sofa, which is kind of contemporarily from her Renaissance album, has some of the hardest like vocal riffs that you could sing, right? So he just has it and he does it. And he's really eclectic. He kind of has a style that sort of reminds me a mix of like Jimi Hendrix and like Prince. So he's really fun.
All right, Selena, what about you?
Well, I'm taking notes now. I'm going to take that tip.
What do we want to see it?
Doechii for sure. I think she's going to be the act to beat that this weekend or that weekend. But I think all the women. There's so many women headliners or second to headline this year. I think like half of the 10 acts are women, which is really cool. So I would love to see Sabrina Carpenter and Olivia Rodrigo clear their beef. I know they're playing on 2 different days, but it'd be great if they could just come to a truce. And Sabrina,
are you predicting anything?
No, I mean, I don't know. They're playing different days, so it would be kind of logistically difficult. But I mean, if they were going to do something, it could be there. Otherwise, out of the UK, there's a great act called Wonder Horse that I'm obsessed with. Anytime they play here, I'm going to see them. They're very like 90s shoegazy Catherine Wheel mixed with like Sam Fender kind of almost Americana rock. Just the singer used to be in a punk band and he dialed it back a little bit, but he brings that fury. And so they are just incredible. Another band that I'm really excited is Silly Goose. So these are kids who they've like guerrilla tactic wade into festivals. They would set up in the parking lot in a pickup truck and play these shows. And so now they're being booked for the actual events.
So they'd be outside the festivals
Yes.
and now they're in the festivals.
So they did this with Riot Fest, I believe Lollapalooza. Bookers have been taking notice. They're kind of like a little bit new metal and biscuity, but I mean, they bring an energy and they're getting booked. So I don't know, kids. If you're in a band, maybe do it.
You got to hustle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it takes. You know, any after shows, have any been announced yet? And if so, what do you recommend go seeing? Selena, I'll start with you there.
So they have been announced.
Okay.
They're on sale now. They're at like a ton more venues this year, I feel like, than in years past.
Be just like a select
Yeah.
few, and you had to be on it. So that's
There's like
good that
30 this year,
Wow.
everywhere from Sleeping Village to Reggie's to Metro. For me, wins it like they do every year. Their after show booking is insane. So they have Foster the People, they have Sierra Farrell, and they have Bleachers playing this weekend. I think all 3 of those are incredible after shows. And then Salt Shed has Joe and Caged Elephant. So couple other good ones.
We've played Lolla a couple
Yeah.
times. What do you think for you after shows, Britt?
Yeah, the after shows are actually like the lineup is I find to be really incredible this year as well. So there's Duran Bernard, like I mentioned.
Can't get enough.
He's playing at Shuba's. Really excited to see Raven Lene. She's performing at Park West, I believe. She is a former Chicagoan from the West Side, now primarily based in LA. Makes really incredible, pop-inspired R&B music. She's had a couple singles recently that have gone viral. But just seeing her live, this probably be like the second or third time I've seen her, but she's just so charismatic and fun and sweet and energetic. So definitely recommend that show. If you're looking for some more experimental, like electronic music, I would also recommend JPEG Mafia. Always that's going to really incredible set. And he's doing an after show as well. So, and then I think also the local group Rat Boys, they also
Sleeping Village.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I love them. They are so good. One of the few Chicago acts to make the lineup again this year. Still based here in Chicago, and so yeah, they're doing an after show at Sleeping Village, so that should be pretty fun.
I have so much to Google after this episode. I'm so excited. Okay, so I want to talk about festivals or venues that have a vibe, but really festivals if you can. I'm picking extremes. Lolla has a vibe. Ravinia has a vibe. What is another Chicago festival or experience that has a distinct vibe that you would recommend, and what would that be? Selena, I'll start with you.
I can think of two. So Riot Fest, of course, is a total vibe. I love the crowd at Riot Fest because they are diehard music fans. They are there for the music. A lot of times it's punk and metalheads. They're coming in, but they book a lot beyond that as well. And the other one is the American Music Fest over at Fitzgerald's in Berwyn.
Oh, yeah.
So if you love
July 4th.
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly timed. So if you love Americana, alt country, regular true country, they're the place to be.
Awesome. Britt, any ideas on vibes?
So this is gonna sound kind of corny, but the lineup has been very good. Like last year it was very good. There's something called like the Wave Wall series, which takes place at like Navy Pier. It's DJ series, and they usually have about like 2 to 3 DJs that play on Saturdays throughout the entirety of the summer. It's just I don't know. Like I wouldn't normally go to like Navy Pier if I didn't have to. But it's outdoors. It sort of reminds me of kind of like being in New York, being at like the PS1 shows, or being at some of the outdoor shows in like Berlin and places like that in Europe. But yeah, they always have like a really great lineup. This year, I think they're gonna have like Dwayne Powell, who is an incredible music historian and DJ from the south side of the city. And yeah, it's gonna be a mix of house, techno, bachata, like just lots of different sounds.
And it's cool that they, in your mind, sustain that vibe through the summer, because we're not just talking about one weekend, a couple of days. They're able to make it interesting all summer long.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's I think like they're really sort of like pushing and trying to get people who are not just like tourists kind of like going there and ending up there. And so that's why I really enjoy it. It's kind of fun. There's been a real like rise in terms of just outdoor electronic music shows that have been happening in the city. It kind of started maybe like 10, 12 years ago with like the Wavefront Music Festival. Then it kind of died down because people were like, all of these, techno sounds is disrupting my sleep and all this kind of stuff. And it's been kind of on the rise again, after the pandemic. So.
Now, both of you are Chicago area natives. Of course, you've been working here for years and years, but I want to see if, as best we can, and I'm biased, maybe you guys are biased too, comparing Chicago to other cities. I want to ask you what you think your opinion is of Chicago's music scene, particularly in the summer, but all year round, versus other cities. How do they compare? What are we better at? What do we need help at? Selena, I'll start with you first.
Well, I will say, as a fan of music, you are in the right spot because we are in the center of the country. Every tour is coming through here. It's a real top market for festivals because of all the different tri-state and other state areas that they can pull in from. I would say, as a music nebulous, I would say the community. I think here it's, so many bands end up, for obvious reasons, leaving for the coasts. That's where the industry tends to be. But the ones who stay here are just so, they're so diehard about it, and they create their own community. And so I did a story last year actually about the sort of second wave of Chicago's rock scene coming through, because last year was insane with Freako and Bridget Calls Me Baby and Dead and Horse Girl and all those bands I talked to. That's what they talked about. It was like, we are all friends and collaborators and supporters. And I think that we do it really well here.
Nice. Britt, how would you compare Chicago to other cities?
Yeah, I would definitely agree about the community aspect of it. It's actually really interesting. A lot of times I'll interview different artists, and sometimes almost like their communities can sometimes feel insular, so they don't actually know what other people are doing or what's going on at the same time because they're really kind of locked into the artists who are around them and the certain genres they're working within. So oftentimes I'll be like, oh, you remind me of this artist, or this kind of sound reminds me of this. And they'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But like, well, you all are in the same city. But I think if you're really looking for community and you're a musician, you can absolutely find it here. Same as if you're just like a fan and you're looking to really get immersed into a scene, whether it is, experimental like country or improv or, kind of emerging R&B and, different forms of trap, like you're going to find your community for it. And there's lots of like venues and outlets for you to go see shows as well. That's one thing that I've heard from people who are in other cities is that we have not only like an abundance of music venues, but accessible music venues as well, right? So you don't always have to pay $70, $80, $90, $100 plus for tickets. You can go to a cheap show at the Empty Bottle or at Constellation or at other places, and you'll have a good time. You'll hear incredible music. So that I think really makes Chicago a unique venue.
You need both. You need both the talent of the place and the culture, and then places in which to show that talent and show off. That's a good point.
Yeah, I feel like a new venue opens almost every year at this
Absolutely.
point, if not more than that.
Which is so healthy after COVID, because think about just how much that area was just decimated in terms of our culture and our city. And it's just so good to hear that there is health in that space.
And they're also different too. I mean, like Garcia's just opened in the West Loop, which is named after Jerry Garcia, but it's a lot of like folk and jam band, but blues and jazz. And so there's just you can get a different vibe, like you were saying before, and really so many different spots in the city.
So normally when I close the takeaway, I ask, what is your takeaway about this topic? But I'm going to do it a little bit differently this year because, and I know this is going to be a hard question to answer. It's like saying, what's your favorite song or what's your favorite band? And I know that's really hard to answer for a lot of people, but I would like from each of you one artist that you are most excited to see play in Chicago in 2025, something that's coming up on the calendar. And if you could only go to one show, if God forbid for the show you go to every week or the 2 shows a week, if you can only go to one for the rest of this year, who is that artist? Whoever wants to go first.
Do you want to go first? Or do you need time?
I think she's thinking about it.
I have an answer. It may sound very cliche, but I'll explain it. This November, the Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan, are teaming up with the Lyric Opera to prevent a night of melancholy and the infinite sadness. I know Billy Corgan's from Chicago. We've had him for years and years, and thank goodness, because I love the Pumpkins. But I think it's going to be really special. I love these artists who are now working with orchestras, or they're rearranging their very banner music catalogs or albums. And I think it's going to be, they have like a operatic singers. I think it's going to be a really, really cool and special event. If you love that album, it's going to be a great way to see it.
Yeah. Presented in a whole new way.
Yeah.
Britt, one show only. Do you hate me for this question?
No,
It's the hardest one you've asked.
I know it.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I saved it till the end.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would maybe say I'm kind of excited to see Lenny Kravitz for the first time this summer, but
Where and when?
so he's playing at Ravinia in August. I think it's like the end of August. So that should be like a fun show. I think
Well, what excites you about seeing Lenny?
he doesn't tour very often or all the time. He did come out with an album fairly recently, within the last couple of years or so. So that was kind of exciting to see. He's just one of those kind of like stereotypical, almost like rock stars in that sense. So just very charismatic, very like sexy, even though he's, like 60. He looks incredible. So yeah, I think it would definitely, that'll be like a fun show to see.
Britt Julious, Selena Fragassi, thank you so much on behalf of I'm just going to thank, that was such an education about what's happening this summer. And like I said, I got a million things I got to Google and shows I got to check out. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
When it's March, April, May, and the weather stinks in Chicago, and you are so ready for summertime shy, it is so exciting when we get to that point when we know that music festivals are here, that big concerts are coming through, and there's nothing like it in the city to know that we have so much to do here. And Britt and Selena were so great. I need them every year to help me map out what the year is going to be like in music in Chicago and what I should go see. And they also proved in this conversation, if you just do a little bit of work, a little bit of digging and research, you can find some shows that are even sometimes free, cheap, easily accessible, that can be as rewarding as some of the biggest festivals we have, including Lolla. And Lolla's great, but the city has so much more to offer, and that conversation certainly proved a little bit of research can go a long way. I was also so happy to hear that the Chicago music scene is doing great, according to them. The venues are popping. The acts keep coming out in all different kinds of genres. The city has so much history in it, and to see that it has an equally bright future in terms of music and that people always want to come here and see music, that just makes me so happy as a Chicago native. So we're going to do this episode again next year because I'm going to need them to come back and refresh me with 2026 concerts. That's my takeaway. I want to see yours in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that conversation, here are some other episodes of The Takeaway, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to listen on the go, check us out on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.